Okay, I'm gonna try this again, see if we get the wash machine noise. And it's not on my side because no matter which audio combination I try, better. It's gotta be StreamYard. Anyway, so as I was saying, let's see. I gotta go back to my description, see what I got. Probably kill a little time here until Scott and Icarus find me again, if he can. Let's see. So yesterday we had, David Neff has a open mic live stream tonight. I linked that live stream in the description. TopDawg Shadic suggests watching Futurama evolution debate. So is this one better? Can you hear me better? What the hell's going on? Scott, I had a wash machine noise on my last one, so I had to abandon the stream and start over. Did you get 2 weather reports? Oh my God. Here's Komari Turnbolt. I know you tried to come in last night, but I didn't know you, and I was a little worried about that. So I kind of wanted to know more about your channel and get to know you because, you know, we have P. Mars trying to get in. So, yeah, this is much better. So anyway, TopDawg Shadic suggests this Futurama evolution debate, season 6, episode 9, A Clockwork Origin, which has a cute thing about missing links. And it's just a real cute thing on evolution that one should watch. Smokey Stink had the murderous Mr. Batman on last night to explain how he justifies murdering homosexuals. You know, if you have a tribunal and you have 3 people and one of them is willing to cast the first stone. And my question about that is whether or not we had a tribunal of atheists and we had some creationists, and if we're willing to judge them unworthy of life and somebody's willing to cast the first stone, is that okay? You know, is that considered murder? So I'm not sure. Hi, Eric. Icarus. Okay, so I was sharing a screen before. The big news is Otangelo had a guy on called OutSci'Ed. I linked his channel in the description. It was called, we're going to get to that. So he had him on for 2 hours, and then he decided to drop a Maddox on him. And he lasted, I think, for 9 minutes before he realized that Maddox was not somebody that he wanted to talk to. And I applaud people that don't dwell on these assholes, you know, when they come in, Joel and Maddox, with their arrogance. So he just left, and he's like, okay, fine, have a good night. This is not what I signed up for. I really appreciate when people do that. Let's see. Talk about origins. Okay, let me see if I can share the audio here. There's a whole lot in this video, and let's see, Todd, I think his name was, did not explain too much about what he did, but said that he was a scientist and he works in the field, and he was trying to explain evolution to Mr. Otangelo, and we know how that goes. And then let's see, where was it? Maddox enters the studio right here.
Why in the world would this have this? And also, look at the teeth and the mouth and the fingers. Cats have a claw that's...
And he's explaining the Tasmanian tiger, which is not a tiger at all. It's pretty good session. That's at 1:59, but Maddox had entered the room. And then, let's see, we go out to Maddox is allowed in. I'm not sure if he actually says anything there.
We agree with limited common descent, and this is explained by speciation and back revolution of 2nd degree. But common descent of all life forms, this is something which I strongly disagree. I have evidence that this isn't possible, and also...
Okay. I thought that was pretty cool there. Otangelo thinks he has evidence that common descent is impossible. And you wonder what he means by evidence that common, like, That's what I've tried to explain to them in the past, that they have to prove that some step of common descent is impossible. And Otangelo feels that he's done that, and he's done it with, let's see here.
So, macroevolution of first degree of speciation, Todd, as I told you, in order to explain how organisms are formed, you need to look into biochemistry. And
biochemistry shows methods of mutation and natural selection, which explains the mechanism. Darwin would love to have seen the day.
I strongly disagree for the reasons which I brought up previously.
Irreducible complexity.
I showed you
there it is, irreducible complexity, and that's all. I think that's Otangelo's entire argument. That is his evidence against common descent. Irreducible complexity is all over. And then we have the first instance of J.M. Stupid, John Maddox Stupid, I call him.
Todd, do you actually know anything about genetics? Because
now this fucker doesn't know anything about genetics, and I don't know why he thinks he does, but he apparently thinks he understands genetics. Yet he has shown over and over again that he doesn't understand the basics of biochemistry. He doesn't understand the papers he reads, and he just comes at him.
Because you keep going on these tangents and claiming that Otangelo doesn't know anything.
Answer the question here, and I mean, really, that is your question. Irreducible. I mean, with irreducible complexity in genetics.
My point was not about irreducible complexity, Todd. I was talking that there are over 30 epigenetic languages and codes involved in organismal building and development of organismal form, and that has nothing to do with irreducible complexity. Now, in order to explain the change from one kind of organism to another, you have to put into the toolbox also these epigenetic languages which are involved in development.
Those were not in the original organisms. They're not even in many viruses. Viruses don't have them, but today we are only alive because we all survived the Permian extinction. 99% of life went extinct at that point. We were bottled.
These epigenetic languages cannot be explained. Todd, these epigenetic languages cannot be explained by genetic variation because they are. Can I finish, please? Because they are inherited epigenetically. There is no genetics involved in inheritance of these languages. There are many things like also.
Okay, so the epigenetic code, which doesn't exist in prokaryotes, Otangelo insists that it evolved epigenetically. So, okay, epigenetics is on top of genetics, basically. It's a modification made to the DNA that will cause the overexpression or underexpression of genes. So there's like around 27 mechanisms that we've identified that will modify genes and express them and whatever. All of these mechanisms involve proteins, enzymes that make this change. And Otangelo thinks that epigenetics evolved epigenetically, which is his great, great mistake. I see if he elaborates.
So cell memory, which is not inherited by genetics. So you cannot invoke evolutionary, traditionally gene-centric mechanisms to explain the phenomena.
So you can't explain the phenomena epigenetics by genetics. Oh my God, Otangelo, I hadn't caught this before, that his misunderstanding of epigenetics is that epigenetics evolved on its own, that somehow you epigenetically inherit the epigenetic code. That's not what happens. You inherit the genes which create enzymes which allow all those epigenetic changes to happen. And that is something that changes over time with changes in alleles and genes to make the code perhaps increasingly complex. And he just totally misses that. It's absolutely amazing. These guys, because they don't understand what epigenetics actually is, they only understand that there's like 27 27 different mechanisms, so it's irreducibly complex. But man, that is a gap. Does everybody understand that? Did I explain that well? I could draw a picture. But epigenetics is just another biochemical pathway or mechanism, and it affects which genes get expressed and don't get expressed. But that evolved, and that's part of epigenetics? Okay. Hell, I should probably get a drawing pad. So I was going to explain this with junk DNA. Let me just take a moment here. Hang on a second. I'm actually a stupid software developer myself. So, this may not go well. We'll see. Epigenetics is something that I think, began researching and discovering like in the 70s, the 80s. The term was created back in, I think, 1943, because we realized that this sort of thing happened. But you have 3.2 billion nucleotides. So you've got a lot of DNA, right? I'm trying to get a screen near the work here. We'll see how well this works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Give me a code. I have to hook this thing up to my Neff, and it's a little slow this morning. And we'll see if it actually shows me a screen. Nope. You bastards. Hang on a second, I gotta shut reflector down and start it up again. Okay, let's start it up again. There it is. We will try once again. I don't know why they make this so many different steps. 5, 5, 4, 7. Now anybody can hook up to my Neff. You guys can hack me right now. Hey, cool. Did it. Okay, now we'll see if Notability is going to crash on me this morning. It's wanting to crash. We'll see. Let's see if I can get this working. Yeah, it's going to crash. God damn it. Software sucks. You fucking software developers, this is your fault. The environmental stressors that one organism experiences influence the genes that get activated in the following generation. Nope. No, that's kind of what, I guess that's sort of the putative idea behind epigenetics, kind of like the first thing we discovered or something like that. But there's a little more to it. Oh, I got it. I think I can draw. Cool. I'll share my screen. Okay, epigenetics is a lot more involved in that. And it covers a much broader field. Oh, application window. It's my COVID cough. Okay, so let's see. So you have this like really long genome, right? And it's really a long string. So if every one of these genes expressed all at once in every cell, then you would be nothing but a big puddle of Otangelo. So, yeah, well, you're close, Scott. You got a little bit of it. So you'd be a big puddle of Otangelo. But in the cell, we have the nucleus, and we have all these chromosomes, 23 of them. Well, 2 pair of each, sort of thing. And these chromosomes kind of wrap themselves around these little thimbles called histones. So the DNA is like floating around out here, and it wraps around here, and it might loop out here a little bit, and it wraps around this one, wraps around that one, wraps around that one. And, so these parts of the DNA, get a different color. The parts of the DNA that are like looped out like this, those things are exposed and they will be expressed. So those things will actually create proteins. And depending on how kind of a long process, every cell has like a different, it has regions for each chromosome in the nucleus. This is the nucleus, okay? And it has, yeah, Otangelo is, I like to think kind of an orange flavor. I don't know. Anyway, so in every cell type, this expression pattern is different, and it's controlled it's controlled by just a number of factors, regulating factors, and occasionally there are changes made to these histones up here. So like right here, there'd be like a change made, and it will either cause this thing to loop out or to be basically blocked so that you can't express that gene. Now those changes are caused by extracellular or extranuclear signals that basically go in and tell the nucleus what to do. And it's just a very, very complex mechanism for turning genes on and turning genes off. Now, sometimes these things can get turned off in the mama cell, and then when it goes to the baby for the first generation, it will still be turned off. And then sometimes 1 or 2 generations further, those epigenetic factors will still be turned off. But that's the famous case that they found in that family that was starved during World War II. And it actually made an epigenetic change that lasted for several generations. So that's what people think of when they think of epigenetics. But since then, the field has become much more complex, and they found out that epigenetics is everywhere in the cell, and there's these 27, I think, different mechanisms of epigenetic modification. And it's just all in this big, complicated how cells work sort of thing, right? Now, most of that stuff is not inherited, so it doesn't go down to another generation. So as best I know, molecular alchemy was here. This is his field. He could explain it to us, or correct me if I am wrong. But very little of it is actually that putative, famous inheritance of epigenetic effects. Well, Otangelo, okay, this epigenetics operates with enzymes. So there are actually enzymes out here that cause, these things to happen. So they make those changes. Those enzymes are created by the genome. So they're inherited genetically. So the enzymes, the epigenetic code, which is what he's talking about right here, these 27 mechanisms, are inherited through the DNA. Otangelo thinks that it's this famous epigenetic passing down that inherits it. And he's completely wrong about that. The epigenetic code is not inherited through epigenetics. Epigenetics is what it does, not how it exists. Okay? So now, have I explained that? Why he is completely wrong about this? I mean, he is so wrong that he's not even wrong. I mean, he's just way off base on this stuff. Anyway, I caught that out of the video, and I haven't reviewed the entire video. Does it pay? I mean, all you're going to hear is Todd trying to explain evolution carefully, as Demeter tried in the past, and as molecular alchemy tried in the past. And Otangelo is saying, no, I have proved this impossible. So does this also control what cells become? Yes, yeah, it controls. So it has a lot to do with changes that are made, I guess, in the cell. You have tissue differentiation, so you have 2 different cell types. So like if this is your lung and this is your liver cell type, and these cells are going to divide into more cells, and I believe they will carry with them some of the epigenetic choices that have been made. But but it's extremely, but these 27 codes create very, very complicated spaghetti-like pathways. So, I mean, if you were to try to actually see what the hell's going on, it would look like a big bundle of spaghetti, which is proof for the spaghetti code monster again, that, you know, the cell is designed like spaghetti. It's just too many different pathways. But yeah, it differentiates cells, and it's active in that. If something goes wrong with it, you can end up with a bad big C cancer cell, big C cancer cell, if something goes terribly wrong with it. So anyway, that's epigenetics. But epigenetics is like, I have, I don't know, two books on it, I think, 2 or 3 books that amount to, you know, something like 1,600 pages of paper after paper after paper, which the creationists love to say. So I like to mimic them on epigenetic effects. It's very, very complicated. You can't just pass this off the way they pass it off as some sort of code that's above everything else. I mean, it is epi, it is on top of the genetic code, but what they mean by that, it's another regulatory mechanism that allows cell differentiation in multicellular animals. That's why we don't find them in prokaryotes. In order to have multicellular animals, we had to have all these different ways of sticking it to a cell so that you do something to the cell that it remembers when it divides into 2, that sort of thing. So that, in a nutshell, is epigenetics. So, and then let's see. I just wanted to comment a little bit on. So the overall structure of this is John comes in at around 2. Todd decides fuck John at 2:09 and leaves. Joelle comes in at around, let's see, what is Joelle in there? Joelle enters at 5 hours and 31 minutes. And Joelle and his wife talk about various things for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, I guess. Or no, hour and a half. And of course, you know, we love Joelle. And Joelle and John talk out here for a while. So I've bookmarked a few things here and there. I'm not sure what exactly I bookmarked. Oh. So, I think Todd said he used to be a Christian, and then he's not a Christian anymore. He came to morph into Lippy Beta Wolf. I think that, I'm not sure if that's an epigenetic thing or if he's stuck with those genes. I think it actually was inherited from his family of origin. I don't know. We will figure out how he evolved someday. Now, that's the big question that Otangelo needs to ask. He's always asking, how did this evolve? How do you account for this? How do you account for Lippy Beta Wolf? I mean, I don't know. Evolution can't explain John Maddox. I'm sorry. We're working on it, though. There's paper after paper out there on possibilities, hypotheses. But anyway, so Joelle was talking here about how when somebody says they used to be a Christian, they weren't true Christians. Yeah, anyway, and his wife chimes in with, you know, some interesting comment about Christianity, that you don't just ask for forgiveness for your sins, but you don't do it again. You make a change in your behavior, and you just basically stop sinning like you did, which has an interesting connection to Alcoholics Anonymous step. What is that? 4 through 9, which is kind of something I want to get into. AA people will tell you that you have to basically you have to make amends. You have to try to fix what you've done in the past, and then you have to endeavor never to do that behavior again. So that's kind of the process. But so they're mentioning that real Christians do that. Real Christians know the Bible. Well, what the fuck? You know, when I hear Christians say, I used to be an atheist, I think the same thing that they're thinking, that, yeah, bullshit, you're an atheist. What you used to be is an agnostic. Used to be somebody who never really thought about it. You know, I mean, a lot of us are brought up in Christian households. If somebody asks us, we'll say, yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I believe there's something out there. There's a God. And I sort of, you know, I believe, yeah, Jesus, I believe Jesus. But when you drill down and ask them questions, they would be hard pressed to answer you. And I think that describes probably about 50% of the Christians alive in the country today. I'm not sure. Yeah, AA is much more rigorous. You actually have to. You have a set of 12 steps where you actually go through, and they tell you exactly how to do some of this shit. You don't just say, "Oh Jesus, forgive me," that sort of shit. But anyway, so the atheism, I can say the same thing about people that say they used to be atheists as these guys are saying about people that used to be Christians. And I haven't looked at much more of this. I'm not sure how much it pays to look at this. I don't know. Anyway, so that's kind of all I had for this morning. I know. Does anybody want to come in and chat? Anybody have an interest? One of the things I want to do is explain AA steps for the atheist, exactly how that works, because AA gets a real bad rap. And in some places, like in the South, I've been to a couple meetings in the South, and they are different than they are in the North. So, okay. Yeah, I got to go have a sandwich is what I got to do. So, but anyway, AA gets a bad rap because most of this goddamn country is Christian. And if you're in the South and you went to an AA meeting, I'm guessing you'd hear the word Jesus. But in Minnesota, in these 40-some years that I've been active in that program, I have heard the word Jesus spoken at an AA meeting perhaps 3 times. And a couple of the times it was extremely cringy. So, So anyway, in Minnesota, you don't hear about Jesus at AA meetings. You don't hear about Christian gods too much in Minnesota. Whoa, sounds like you got a boom going on there. What's happening, Ben?
Yeah. Good morning.
Good, man. So, what do you think of the epigenetics thing?
I think it was a good explanation. Of course, my attention, as always, is divided. Why?
Yeah.
But I'm always impressed that you have a nice reading of it and a way to retell it, and it's cool.
Okay. Maybe we'll get Molecular Alchemy to come in. He's been busy lately and kind of elaborate on some of it.
It's not as exciting and as creative as Otangelo's version of epigenetics.
Right. Yeah, but he actually thinks that epigenetics is inherited through epigenetics, which is just a big fucking problem for him.
I don't know. It's just like I so much, think it's impressive how much I can tell he reads,
Yeah.
But it's like he needs to take a course with someone and go through the rigor, either that or just drop the God stuff, drop that it must be created and it must be this and it must be this and everything I'm studying supports the Jesus,
Right.
and just build up from what the foundation of the actual science is. That's what that just seems like so obvious. That's what he hasn't done, and it won't do. And there's kind of, and same with our Lippy friend, and it's frustrating because it's like they're spreaders of bullshit.
Yeah, you can learn words like this. You see, what I'm beginning to suspect with Otangelo, Toko Samurace, I can say that. Oh, I sound intelligent.
Right,
But,
right.
well, what the fuck is it? I have to look the goddamn thing up half the time. You know, but anyway, you've got to understand a little bit more about what's going on. And Otangelo didn't know what this was. And I guess if you want to start understanding anything about evolution, you have to at least be able to identify grain alcohol, you know, and he didn't really know what that was.
I mean, I'd have to look it up, right? Carbons and an OH group, whatever. I mean, 7 million years ago, someone made me learn it, and I probably didn't know it that well then. But whatever, I'd have an idea. It's like, oh, okay, chemistry 101. Okay, let me go back and look that up. It's cool. Chemistry was infinitely fascinating. I loved it.
Right.
Difficult, but there's no appreciation of like what the actual. That's what I find really frustrating with that whole brain trust. There's no look at what reality is. It's like we need to frame reality because we know that God created the world in this many days, and we know this must be true. So this must support it and everything about it. So let's do a really poor reading of it. Oh well, I mean,
yeah. Well, Otangelo keeps talking about these 27 different epigenetic codes. He calls it 30 now. It'd be interesting to have him explain one of those codes to us, because I got a feeling that Otangelo does a lot of copy paste, and he does a lot of memorizing words like Toko or Samurace.
Yeah.
And yet he doesn't know any of this basic stuff that you kind of need to know how molecules fit together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So him and Maddox and Standing for Truth, the whole brain trust, they seem to have memorized words and read kind of like, I don't know, they pass, you got this like craggy, terrain. They're passing over fucking 50,000 feet,
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, the worst criminal of it is Maddox, because he'll take he'll pick these words out, and then if he's talking, I saw him do it when he was discussing with Dan. It's like, you don't know this with you don't understand this. You don't even understand biology. It's like.
Yeah, it's like I can always, we can always pick something that somebody else doesn't know, and like I actually bookmarked the spot here where Todd said to Maddox something like, "Okay, you're using this debating tactic of mentioning all these papers and all these ideas, every one of which I would have to go look up,
right?
And I don't have time to do that." So you don't win a debate by just coming up with all these talking points that somebody else is not familiar with and saying, "Oh, you don't know." Because on the science side of things, like Todd in this 2-hour interview, he said, "I don't know, I'm guessing," about 20 times, which is exactly what somebody who actually knows what they're talking about would say. Somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about is gonna try to hold your feet to the fire, because you don't know something.
Right. Like and I think a lot of it's this feeling that they have absolute knowledge because they have, Jesus or whatever,
Yeah.
So my knowledge is absolute. So it informs, and then I know I have absolute knowledge of science because I'm going to make it to my narrative, rather than, I mean, the fact that when I heard Lippy talking to Dan from Rutgers, and Dan's asking him for the paper, and he's like, "I'm not going to tell you the paper. That's your job to find it." It's like, I mean, who says that in a debate conversation? I'm not going to give you my sources. I mean, because they're magical or something. I mean, it's like what a dishonest, horrible way to get along with humanity. It's like, okay, well, let me show you what I have. Here's the paper. Let's look at it together. Because he's like covering up for like bullshit that he doesn't understand or he's misread, you know? It's like, I digress.
Yeah. I'm just drawing pictures here. Rubbing alcohol, wood alcohol.
Yeah, avoid drinking those. They're not good.
Don't drink those. Drink this. This is great. This is grain alcohol. So if you see this shit in the bottle, don't drink that. If you see this in the bottle, don't drink that.
Don't drink it.
Unfortunately, they all look the same.
What's Sterno? What is Sterno wood alcohol?
I don't know what the hell's in Sterno.
Sterno. Didn't they used to call it hooch or something? Because it was like, I mean, it used to be a thing to drink. I'm not recommending it, children.
Yeah, they come in little. It's like wax mixed with alcohol, I think. And
yeah, maybe that's it. Because it used to be like in the Ural, like the fondue pots of the '60s, all with like a little Sterno thing, you know.
Yeah, when I was, I think I was like 15 years old. My dad took us hunting up at Crane Lake and deer hunting, and it was 45 below absolute, and my hands froze, and I had this can of Sterno, so I lit the Sterno up, right, and I burned the outside of my hands, but I still didn't unthaw them. but we had Sterno to kind of, as sort of a safety mechanism. If you were getting frostbite, you could at least get some heat, but it didn't work very well.
It's probably didn't work really well. 45 below, but it had a cool flame though, the Sterno, because it's kind of like
like blue.
Yeah, like blue, and it's kind of flowy in a cool way.
Shit, do they have a Wikipedia article here? I can't find out. I think it was. I don't think maybe it was alcohol. Yeah, it is made from denatured grain alcohol, so ethanol.
Okay.
It's denatured by adding wood alcohol, methanol. So basically, oh my god, my battery's low. So they add a little bit of this to make sure you don't drink your Sterno.
Yeah.
So that's why it fucks you up.
Yeah, it is supposed to fuck you up.
They just spoil your goddamn fun. By adding wood alcohol to your Sterno.
Really? How dare they? You could be like a party, man.
Yeah, pretty bad. Let's see, a gelling agent plus a dye that gives it a characteristic pink color. That can't be good to eat either, probably.
Yeah, I usually think like pink. Nah, not good to eat. I mean, won't go any farther than that. But
yeah, but I don't know anything about chemistry because I had to look up Sterno to figure out what the hell it is. So
yeah, but that shit, it's like
Maddox would have known.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I would have known.
Do you think he even? I don't even knows like covalent bond. Here, count the electrons, dude. Huh? What? Yeah, it's like basic.
Yeah, there's just, and that's the same with genetics. There's this whole, textbook basics that you need to start reading first out here, and then you kind of get into other more complicated books.
Yes.
And then above here, you read the fucking papers. And then when you read the papers, like even for me, okay, because I'm self-taught, I miss 50% of the papers because I don't have the laboratory experience that you need to understand what the paper is saying. That's why papers are so hard to read.
They're hard to read, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about what they did in the lab, and shit, I don't understand, because I've never been formally educated, so I never got the laboratory work. Surprisingly, today's students this year are not getting laboratory work either because they're doing everything through Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my son's in engineering program, and they're doing, I don't know how they're doing mechanical engineering labs, like through Zoom. But I don't know.
Well, PZ Myers said he was on Brainbug's channel. And he said that what they're doing is that he does the experiments and then they videotape it and they go through it and try to give the students as much hands-on by watching, that sort of thing.
I mean, my impression of remembering doing labs, they basically want to torture you a little bit and then make you write down the result that you get.
Yeah.
And then it's the process of doing it, hands-on, figuring it out, what I did wrong. It's it's a little bit of torture, and you come out a little stronger, learning from it.
Yeah, what chemistry? I did do some lab work back in the 70s when I took chemistry at a college, but it was I remember my shit just didn't work well. And
Yeah, you always see them do it, and then like sometimes it gets like they don't do this, and there's always some idiot that does do it, and there's smoke going over there on that side of the lab, and the teacher's like running over with the extinguisher, and it's like
Yep.
But it's like learning shit is kind of like scaffolding knowledge. It's kind of like layering paint. And what a lot of times it seems like the brain trust does, they're not interested in the layering paint. They just want to paint their version of a finished product with bullshit.
The sad thing is that this down here, these layers are where you actually start to understand how evolution happened.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that has to be explained. I was reading about vertebrate evolution today, early vertebrates that we found, or the precursors to things with a backbone, and the fossil evidence we have. And as you read about each different type of organism, you can see how evolution happened. So the more you know, the more believable it is. But they don't have any of this because they replaced all of this with God.
Right. All of it. Right. And we know, and this is, and the sad thing is, I mean, even if they were have that view of God, fine, whatever, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but just look at it. Why not at least just study it in a, it doesn't have to be, don't have to get a PhD, you don't have to get a BA, you don't have to do anything, but why not just study it in its most robust form, just so even you know it better, rather than say, oh, it's bullshit because polyoisomerase thing, and then I read a paper, and and like Maddox, I read 15 papers today. It's like,
right.
What?
Sure, you read them.
Yeah, I looked at them.
I have an open invite for him to come on the channel and discuss one fucking paper with me and see what his understanding is of it.
I mean, I kind of have like, I don't know how I feel about it, because I used to be like someone involved in a lot of debates with folks like that, and then there's something psychologically bad about it, because they are really dug in, and I think to a certain extent I am too. I mean, I see that, but I'm willing to listen.
This Todd guy on Otangelo's channel yesterday, in the first 2 or 3 minutes, he talked about that. And he talks about how I'm not going to convince anybody. Or he talks about, people that would look at DNA evidence and not believe it.
Yeah.
I still don't believe it.
That sounds interesting, actually, that he would say that, because on some level, we're all just, stupid apes living on this planet. So we have to find a way to live harmoniously, whatever the fuck that means. So getting into arguments with the beta dogs.
The beta dogs. The beta dogs.
With their impotent bark, impotent internet bark.
Hey, you don't understand it. Do you understand anything about epigenetics at all? And
do you even know biology?
Yeah, it just drives me up the wall, because I know he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard, like, when he first started out, what the hell did he say? He thought lipids basically copied themselves or something. He made that comment on one stream. Just all kinds of crazy shit.
You have made a stunningly ignorant statement just there. Yeah. Wait, no, let me finish. That's stunningly ignorant. That shows your complete lack of everything. I mean, it's like, whatever, dude.
But the problem is that for Otangelo and Maddox to go down and read those textbooks to do those bottom 2 layers, I do that, and I've been doing that for like 14 years. And I get up every morning and I basically find the toughest thing I can tackle. And I'm reading like 30 books at the same time. So the reason I don't say that I've read a book is because I can only read like 2 pages of each one a week, roughly, or maybe 10. Because 30 fucking books at the same time is a little too much because I'm a bipolar nutcase. But the point is,
Yeah.
it takes me a great deal of commitment. I have to want to know.
Right.
They already think they know that God did it, so they don't have that incentive to go and do the hard work to learn the shit, right?
Right. Well, they know that, you know, the body of knowledge that is evolutionary science. They know 120% convinced that it's complete bullshit and lies. You know, made to either created by the devil or something goofy like that. So of course they don't need to have the basic knowledge, and because there's access to, you know, papers and other stuff, and they can look at answers in Genesis, and Dr. Kenthoven said this. Oh, and our friend Neff, he says this, and it's just this whatever circus.
Yeah, it's like the evolution of Hox genes. Like they'll ask you, how did Hox genes, evolve? And I'm like, good fucking question. What do I have to do in order to figure that out? Well, for me to figure that out, it's going to take me about 1.5 years. For them to figure it out, it's going to take them about, how long does it take to say God did it?
Right. We know that God, it had to be. And it had to be exactly the account that's in this book with the derivative God from Canaanite gods, derivative war god who morphed all through the book. Whatever. The whole thing is ridiculous.
I think this is a picture of where the Hox genes are. This is like one of them in, I think this is in fruit flies. Yeah, Drosophila. So anyway, you have to look at all that. And if you see this right here, these green bars up here?
Yeah.
Okay, let me expand that a little bit.
I see it, but dude, it's...
Oh, don't shut down
the pay grade.
Don't run away from me.
See, shit like that's scary. Just on face value, you know.
You see that little thing above my cursor, that block of green?
I do. Yes.
That's an exon. That actually codes for a protein. This part here is called an intron. Look how fucking big it is.
Yeah.
Now, here's another little part of the exon. So what happens is all of these exons get packed together, and they create the messenger RNA, and then it leaves the nucleus. So this whole thing is one gene, and this is all. When you click on that.
So that's one gene, and this is showing. When you click on it, it's showing the quote unquote sequence.
Well, I'll show you how hard it is to get the sequence. Okay, that's another story. But this is dicostronic gene, ANT-P, whatever. But it shows you, I think it tells you which exon. No, it doesn't tell you which exon it is. But anyway, all of these are exons for that one gene. And you can see how much junk DNA is in there. Or DNA that intron has some parts in it that's useful because it has to know how to splice these things together. That's what it's going to do. But okay, let's zoom in on one little. We have to hit the zoom, and we have to zoom again. And now we have to move it over because this fucking thing is retarded. And they keep asking me to fill out a survey how they can improve their program.
Oh, this is cool. Genome Data Viewer. Is this free? NIH?
Yeah, NCBI. It has. I think it has thousands of genomes now, but it has human, Drosophila, chimpanzee. Okay, I'm still zooming in. Now we're right in the middle of that exon. We're still zooming in. Oh my goodness. Okay, there you go.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
There they are.
Cool.
But you see how, you remember how tiny that exon was and how I blew it up? Look at that.
Right.
You try to figure this shit out, right? I can't even find the goddamn intron. I'm going over trying to find the end of this thing. Oh, there we go. No, not yet. There we go. Okay. So here's the end of the exon. So this is the last codon, one of those three, GAA. Sometimes they're read this way, sometimes they're read this way. It's kind of random. So anyway, so you have to go through, and each one of these will code for one amino acid, and that will create the protein. Protein.
Pretty
But
cool.
anyway, you go all the way back out here again, and you can see how tiny that got. And then go, to look at the entire gene right there. That's the entire gene. So it has these exons packed in there.
See,
anyway,
so when Otangelo or Lippy is looking at this,
hi Nathan.
I mean, they're not going to look at it, but if they were, they would just have some kind of weird alternate. I don't know. How would they?
They don't care about these details.
Yeah, I guess that's the truth. They just don't care.
Because they know that God knows more than they do.
Yeah, they can always go back to God, the God who kills things because having a bad day or something,
Yeah, we were talking about that. I don't know if it was last night or yesterday morning, but we were talking about how ridiculous what they believe is. This whole Santa Claus fairy tale story.
Oh my God!
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you read the Bible and they're like, I mean, I know I heard a little bit. I checked in a little bit last night. It was on late, but talking about bringing back the Sanhedrin. When was that? Or
I didn't know what that was. That was
it's like
that was that Richard
Elders or something.
No, Mr. Batman. How he decides to murder homosexuals.
Oh, it's not murder. Well, we're saying it's not really murder. It's it's righteous killing or something. I mean,
yeah, if three people are in judgment and one is willing to cast the first stone. So
who says shit like that? I mean, there are people who say shit like that, but obviously, unfortunately, but who says shit like that? What the fuck?
Here's a genome browser, and you can click on I can click on human here. And then let's see, browse genome. Let me, God, do this. So browse genome. Okay, there's your chromosomes. So I can go over here and look at chromosome 2, and it will show me up here all the different bands on chromosome 2. And I believe over here is that fusion site for chromosome 2, where my cursor is, right there. So anyway. But you can look at the whole, so this is the whole chromosome, and each of these are like genes in here.
Oh, okay.
And then you can just, then you start zooming in.
So every once in a while, I'll get a client and they'll say, oh, there's a deletion on the short arm of there's always rare shit, like chromosome 9, just random, or something, just like a little portion. So here we go. I guess the next time I get one, I can look into this and go.
Yeah, if you can find the gene, the name of the gene, if you go up here and type it in right here, like if I type in DDX 11L2, it should show me what it is. So this is the famous standing for truth or highly functional helicase gene. That's what it is right here. So this is DDX 11L2. And you see it zoomed me out to the point where I can see that. But this is the intron, and there again are the exons.
Will Standing talk to you? Because as personality-wise, he seems more.
He is a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's bright. And he wants to talk on his channel where he can do his Gish Gallop.
Yeah.
And it's a little hard to get it, and he's busy, and he really believes in what he's doing. So it's a little hard to get him to come in and have a talk. But when I do get him in to have a talk, I want to get all detailed, and he doesn't like that so much because that's not good for them.
Yeah, he's kind of the Standing Gallop.
So he's supposed to come in and talk to Walker, or have a debate with Walker on. Well, he was supposed to come in and have a conversation on Neanderthals being human, and he kept modifying it. Now as it stands, Walker and him are going to debate on modern day debate, and it's just going to be a shit show.
Yeah, I mean, I like modern day debate, but they have so many shit shows. I mean, I still watch it, but like, I think last night was like Team Skeptic versus some anti-coronavirus guy. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And the guy just was like saying bullshit. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
you're obviously. It's this notion of following my own truth, which is kind of a sickness of the age, the disinformation society, I think. And hopefully we'll figure a way to reckon with it. I don't know.
Yep.
Kind of.
Let me see if I can find something good for you. Okay, this stuff here, these little waves, they kind of show you where the epigenetic markers are. So they kind of tell you how these things are expressed. And I think this one is, but there's a whole bunch of different ones. So you can like add tracks to this where you get more and more detail.
And this is on NIA NCBI or NIA? I forgot the website.
It's called, if you type in NCBI in Google and just hit return.
Oh, okay.
It'll send you up to the homepage, which is right here. So, whoops, what did I do? I hit the wrong thing.
NCBI. That's so cool.
I hit the wrong thing. I wanted to hit, let's see.
It's like such a cool time. I guess it's always been a cool time to be alive, but it's such a cool time to be alive. But
oh yeah, they have a lot of info. But then you have to learn how to navigate this. You have to go to Genome, which took me a while to figure out. And then you have to go to Genome Data Viewer, and then you get that cool thing where you can look at rats and you can look at writers.
Yeah.
And there's a whole. I've spent hours on this until my head is just pounding.
The more you know, the more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know, you don't know. Actually, it's like that.
Yeah.
Or the more there is, there are different shades of it, or look at things. That's what's so cool about learning shit, man.
Yeah. Nathan went to bed after Saturday Night of the Atheists. I stayed up for 2 hours and watched To the Lake. So that just shows you what I'm made of.
I'm pretty. It's like my only. One of my only religious practices now is trying to get to bed at 10 p.m. every night.
Oh my God. Oh, that's boomer o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. It's such life. I'm trail end of the boomers, so gotta win one for the boomers,
Yeah, I'm way beyond the end of the fucking trail.
You're forging new territory for boomers.
Yep. Well, I've lived. What the hell? I've lived so far 15 years longer than my doctor predicted I would live. So,
yeah. Well, may as well keep going. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Makes it fun.
Yep.
I'm trying to keep going. Crazy year.
Exercise helps a lot. I mean, if you physically lift weights, like hard weights, you can actually keep your body going.
Oh yeah. Well, you lose. I think you lose like 1% of your muscle fibers every year after like 35 or something. Just
if you don't exercise.
If you don't exercise, yeah. I've been exercising pretty much since college in some fashion. Although it definitely has changed a bit since I've gotten older. But keep going. Try. It feels good, to be out there, and it's good to lift weights. Balance goes to shit when you get older. It's like fuck.
Yeah, when I get to the point where I have to lean on something to put my pants on, then I'm probably gonna call it.
I don't know. It always seems like that. Like you make a marker. If I have to, if I have to sit down and put my shoes on, I'm gonna fucking bring the iceberg. I'm gonna go on the flow then. But then it's like, I can sit down and put my shoes on and still appreciate learning shit. So I guess I'll keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know.
My goddamn belly that keeps growing during this COVID crisis. I can barely put my socks on now. I carry my socks around for like 3 hours. Like, fuck, I know I got to put them on. But I don't want to. Because...
like socks, I think, are considered functionally. If you can get a sock on, you're doing pretty well.
Pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of, you got to be able to pick your leg up enough. You got to be able to use the dexterity in the hands. It's a pretty good marker.
You have to be able to breathe while you're putting it on, and that's a bitch. If you like, your belly gets in the way. Like my belly's. I've added gained like 20 pounds, I think, since COVID. So
yeah, the COVID. I think the COVID. I don't think it's uncommon. It's a thing. I've heard it. The COVID weight gain.
Well, what we did is we all went out to Sam's Club. And we bought fucking like 50 pounds of rice. I bought like 560 pounds of bacon, and so I make bacon fried rice, and like that shit has calories in it.
Yeah, well, throw out the rice. Just do the bacon. That's what I've got. Kind of.
I know that's it. Well, we do about when I make bacon fried rice. It's actually about 60% bacon, and probably 30% eggs, and then the rice is in there, so it isn't too bad. But still, I eat about 20 pounds of it in a sitting, and I'm like a fucking wolf.
Well, the thing is that rice, like that fucking eggs, rice, and bacon, it's like you can't stop eating that. There's something.
Oh no, it's just something about it, man.
Like it's a mouthfeel thing, and the next bite's going to taste really good, and the 7,000 bites after that are going to be really good.
Yep. And then if you can possibly crawl up, like for me, crawl up the fucking steps and get another bowl, I will.
Whatever, you're sitting by the side. Yeah, I do like super low carb diet. I've been doing that for a few years, for better or worse. I mean, it might be total bullshit, but I feel pretty good. So,
I went on a complete carb-free diet. I ate berries and meat, tons of shrimp and lobster and crab meat and fucking what do they call it? I don't know, those shell things.
Yeah.
And I felt so good. Because I like sometimes if you listen to me, if I'm interviewing somebody for like over an hour, I'll start to lose it. And that is my fucking blood sugar going crazy. It just does all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that when I was on pure meat diet. It was just excellent. I was running around like a kid. I felt much better. But now I'm cooking for my son, and he likes the carbs.
Yeah, the fucking kids, man.
I know, they're going to kill me. I'm going to go up and make fucking bacon fried rice. Thank you.
Eat about 700 pounds of it.
Eat about 700 pounds of it, right.
What you need is a super big spoon so you can just shovel it in as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and a really big bowl so I don't have to crawl up the steps to get more.
Yeah, like at least a 20-gallon bowl, and just you're good for the rest of the day.
Our joke around here is I make soup and I tell my sons, I fucked up. I put too much meat in it. And it's like, yeah, we know. We know. So I'm going to go make fried rice. How about that?
All right, man. Well, good seeing you. Thanks for sharing the knowledge.
Yep. Yeah, well, see, it isn't that hard. If you just, just don't be afraid of this shit. It's fun.
And it's cool. It's just I love learning shit. I mean, I devote myself to learning music. So,
that is an amazing subject.
It's endless. It's like climbing a mountain, then you realize it's a little higher, and then it keeps getting higher.
God, I had a book on the mathematics of music, about
music theories, endless.
20 years ago, it was wonderful. It was really cool, but I haven't found the book.
Well, Pythagoras figured out the harmonic sequence, cutting strings in half, and they're twice as roughly the same note once they flatten out a little bit. But it's really, the music theory is really cool because you don't need know anything about it to appreciate and be moved by music, but knowing some, it makes it like, wow, that's really cool now.
Yeah.
Adds a spice to it that's there anyway.
Well, it's like looking at a tree when you know the molecular biology of trees. Yeah, it adds to it. We use our mind. We use what we know about something to, to fully color what we're looking at, which is kind of cool. Yeah, that's what I love about science.
Yeah. And I mean, anyway, then I'll let you go. But then, with mathematics, with music, what I'm kind of one of the things I'm working on now is they call it phrasing. So it's like if someone were reading a play, you would have, because they're reading an artificial part, you would have them want it to sound in a way that, transmits the feeling that the author of the play wanted to have. So similarly in music, but it's like the really interesting thing is, we have I do classical stuff. So the notes are written out very discreetly, there's has a value, but to really add to the phrasing, you're actually playing mathematically with the value of the notes, where you're making like one note that's supposed to have a beat just a little longer or a little shorter, that it's written in a way that transmits the feeling of the music that maybe the composer had, or maybe, me as the interpretive artist, perhaps trying to transmit. It's so cool though.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah.
All right, bro, enjoy your 7,000 tons of bacon, rice, and eggs.
Okay, goodbye.
All right, later, man.
Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast later.